In this world, men's are slaves and women's are the ones that rules this whole world. Afterwards the men's hears an announcement asking them to get to the cafeteria for food, but that room is full of men's who are living there like prisoners, even the security is a woman, and they orders the boys to not mess the line and walk straight. After a while they started to eat the food, and then a broadcast starts, which was a woman calling the men's as slaves, and she goes on by telling them to work as their life depends on it for the company, also that's the reason you boys exists. Afterwards everyone gets an injection, which gave them motivation to work. All of a sudden another announcement asks the men's who got energy boosters to assemble in their work post. After arriving there everyone is really motivated to work, and that guy is out of his mind, while muttering the words that he wants to work for the women's forever, but as the time goes on his work motivation started to fade because of the injections drug wearing off. All of a sudden a girl bumps into him which made stuffs to fall down, but that girl is angry at him by saying he is the one that bumped into her, but those girls started to make this into a big fight. Meanwhile a guy notices on what's going on in here. But those girls started to threaten him to break his face. Suddenly someone says hey, and it was the guy who noticed from before, but to their surprise he started to beat that guy, by telling him to bring the threads that are needed to work quickly. Other peoples are just watching it happen, even one of the girls started to feel sorry for that guy. On the other hand he is still beating up that guy by repeating the words, "Don't play with deadline." She then slowly asks that guy to stop. But he quickly hit her on the head while telling her to not interfere, but this made the other girl to get angry, so she uses her electric shock staff. After doing it, every girl started to beat that guy. In the end, they leaves the place leaving the first guy alone, and then everyone comes rushing in asking whether if he is fine or not. But he didn't wake up at all. In the end they started another announcement, which is that their labor is over for today and they can go back. To which he quickly wakes up, and started to run while shouting, "Food, beer." In the end other guys realizes that he is fine. Meanwhile in the bar everyone is fighting for alcohol, and he was the first in that line asking for beer. After a while he is lying in his bed thinking the drug worn off. All of a sudden a girl-looking boy appears in front of him, and she says he really got beaten up today and is he really okay, to which he replies it's nothing, and he goes on by saying he dodged the vitals just before he got hit, also she can also learn this trick if she gets punished more. But then she started to say that it's good to protect his friends, to which he quickly questions whether if he is worried about him. This made her to get flustered and she started to say that she will be lonely if he is gone, since he is the only friend she has in this entire world. He then smilingly explains that they are living together in this room right from their birth. And unless they become an upper-class slaves, they can't go out and see the outer world. To which she blushingly asks him to not think about that upper-class slaves, because they are repeating the same day over and over until they die. Afterwards it was the morning, and the same announcement comes in the television, which is asking them to come to the cafeteria. After coming there he started to take his breakfast as usual. In the end he gets the injection. And gets back to the work. After finishing the work he gets beaten up, and this happens every day. And just kept on going. But on one day, the president of the company visits her company. And some other women's who is the metropolitan for Tokyo arrives. And both of them shakes their hands. Afterwards that CEO started to say that they are having 4,000 men's working for them, and despite having that much they were able to produce high-quality dresses with ease. But they are still having some troubles with money, so if they don't have money support, she won't let her organization full of women's to vote for her again. After saying it, they started to stare at them for a while. And then she started to say that she will get what she asked and her name is already included in there. In the end both of them blushingly speaks to themselves. Afterwards that metropolitan suddenly requests something about laves. Meanwhile a girl looks out in the building, where it was full of men's working after getting their injection. She then gets down and calls a guy, and he blushingly replies yes, and he goes on by wondering that's his first time seeing a woman up that close. Meanwhile he was throwing out the trash, and he quickly notices two guards flirting with themselves. After a while they saw him, and that girl says that he will be going to brag about it with some of his friends. To which he replies back by saying he will never do that and he will forget it. But they goes on by saying that they have to kill him for this. All of a sudden that girl from before comes in, and calls that guy. While being unfazed she asks him to pack his things. Meanwhile he was confused on what's going on in here. Afterwards that Gars asks her on who she is. Meanwhile MC realizes that she forgot to wear her panties, so he slowly whispers in her ears about it. As a result she quickly beats him, and when she started to beat him more, that new girl stops her. And she goes on by saying that he is now hers so nobody should touch him. But this made those guard girls to get irritated. She then with a menacing face and explains that he is now a upper-class slave. After hearing it, that guard girl realizes, to own an upper class they have to at least be rich or be in an extremely high level status. So technically he is now in higher ranks than her, because if he just reports her to his owner her life will be in a drainage. And then she goes on by asking those guards to be careful with him, since he might report those guards to his new owner and get them punished. Afterwards she started to smile while asking them to apologize. But that guard still fights back. But to her surprise he is really excited to hear her apologize to him. Which made her to get angry. And she started to leave the room by asking them to do whatever they want. After that she turns towards him, and she says she will get to the point, which was he is forced to wake up at 4 in the morning, and given some drug to make him to do high labor work, until 11 p.m, even to bath they only gets it once a week. Plus as a bonus they get abused, and that's the world he is currently living right now. Also this world's rules are really fragile than he thinks, so even a slave can bring his will to the top by breaking it. So to achieve it she will give him the knowledge, and guide him to there, and she goes on by asking if he understands her, to which he quickly replies he doesn't understand. As a result she accepts it by saying it's okay for today. And she goes on by saying that today is his last day, also he doesn't have rights to deny it, so he should just pack his bags and wait in the lobby. Afterwards he started to pack his bags. While doing it he notices the beds, which is empty. After walking in the empty corridor he suddenly notices the girl-looking boy running in there, and she notices him. After seeing him she started to blush while saying hi, to which he smiles slightly. All of a sudden she gets beaten up, which shocks him and he tries to tap on the door but they still beats him. In the end they started to drag him by pulling his hair, but he couldn't able to do anything. Afterwards he arrives, and she says he is late. But he suddenly says he wants to reject her offer, since he knows a guy who will be a better suit for her work, who is really smart and good at everything. To which she replies it's not gonna happen, since she is not the one that choose him, it's someone big. Also do you really want to waste your freedom? As a result he slowly says that he is actually doing fine in here. In the end she directly asks him whether if he is in love with that guy, to which he replies he doesn't get those stuffs, and his main reason is because the guy is really weak, which made that girl to get speechless, so she goes on by saying that she will try to take that guy out as well. In the end she asks him to follow her while telling her name to him. After coming outside, everywhere is full of girls, and she asks him whether if it's his first time coming to the city. To which he replies that is true, and also seeing women that are not guards. She then says that she is also a woman though, and she goes on by saying as a high-class slave he can walk in the street with no problem, but he can't talk with girls, but if he tries something funny he will be getting executed in the spot. After a while they arrives at the house. Since slaves can't enter through the main door they will be getting in using the side door. After coming in she started to explain that this house is owned by the Ousaka family member, from Metropolitan. And it was that girl who visited that company before, and she calls her and says that she brought that slave. Afterwards he started to tremble while saying his name. And without a care she asks him to do well while leaving, which made him to think that she didn't even acknowledge him, so he asks to her on what he should do, to which she replies that she is just merely a owner, which means a user is different than that. All of a sudden someone comes in. After seeing them she explains that this too will be his users and they are his new world. But right after seeing him one of them gets annoyed because he smells. Meanwhile MC is still confused. Afterwards she introduces that girls to him. One is Suzuna, and the other one is Himari, and both of them is the daughter of that girl who left earlier. Which left this guy shocked because both of them are big shots. Afterwards he shakingly tells his name to them. She then suddenly asks him to come close to her, which even shocked her other sister, and she goes on by asking her to stop, since he smells really bad, to which she replies she doesn't mind it. Afterwards she started to move towards him while stretching her hands, and she goes on by getting really close to him and says his face feels itchy and rough. Sao butts in and she says that girl is 90% blind. Meanwhile she is playing with his face. Afterwards So explains his work, which is to be her eyes and support her to get to the school and everywhere she goes. Also if something happens to her, even he can't pay it back with his own life. Meanwhile she is showing her hands to her sister which got sticky after touching his face. Himari then orders Sao to take him out to a bath, so he gets inside the bath, and while thinking about this bath, he gets a memory where they are spraying cold water using hose. After finishing bathing, they took him to have a haircut, and one of the guys says his name to him, and goes on by telling whether if he is happy to escape. He then goes on by saying that this room is used for those guys to take break from work and just chill. After hearing his work to serve those daughters, they realizes he can't take break even if he wants to do. In the end, they finished giving him a haircut. And he turned into someone that looks like a One Piece character. Afterwards those guys says as long as he wears that coat other families can't mess with him. In the end So gets impressed, and she says he looks like he got an upgrade. Afterwards she tells him to get going and serve food for Himari and Suzuna. He then takes out a spoon, and feeds food directly into her mouth. With a blushing face she says the food is good. All of a sudden someone says that it stinks. And she is the second daughter of the family, but she goes on by looking at him by saying whether if it smells because of him. Afterwards the third daughter joins in by saying it's ruining their mood. Afterwards everyone says it's really bad of her to let a slave feed her like that. But then her mother says it can't be helped since she can't see, but they couldn't able to take it. So they tells to her mother that she's always being kind with those two. All of a sudden their last child tells to her mom that she should be fed by her sister as usual, but that girl didn't even look at them. Himari then thanks her mother for giving her a lave when she asked for it. Suzuna then starts to say that they are different than them because those girls have their personal laves, which made those girls to get angry, and she replies that she should be grateful to get this one lave. After finish eating she leaves the room by inviting her sister, so she wipes her mouth while taking out her hands, and this shocked MC, but still he holds her hands, so he started to escort her outside of the room. Which made their daughters to get irritated, even her mother is looking at them silently. After a while his new friends asks him on what happened, but then they started to say something about the relationship of those daughters, but while eating the food he started to shake, which made them to worried, so they asks him on what happened, to which he replies it's really delicious. And this made them to blush. Afterwards So explains that Himari and Suzuna usually goes to sleep at this time, and his duty is to see and finish their last-minute orders, and this will be his last task for every day. Afterwards she shows their room, and leaves by warning him to not make those girls to get angry, so he decides to go in Himari's room first, but before he could enter someone calls him, which was the first daughter, and they asks him on what he is trying to do. This shocks him and he says he is here to get their final request for the day. As a result she just says, "I see," and asks her slave to stand back. Afterwards she blushingly asks him if he was a low-class slave who went through a lot of trouble. And she even apologizes for what happened in the dining table. So for apology she decides to say some important thing, which shocked him, and she goes on by saying that this is his chance to earn her trust. She then leaves while saying good luck to him. Meanwhile he just stares at her while blushing. Afterwards he gets inside the room, and he thinks to himself that she looks good. And she reminds him about their relationship with their sisters is always like this, which he should remember. Afterwards he says yes. And he remembers that first daughter told him the way to make Himari happy, and she tells him to leave because she have nothing to request, but he didn't leave, so she asks him on what he wants. To which he blushingly says that he will lick it for her, which caught her off guard. But he started saying he doesn't have any ulterior motives behind it, and all he wants is to make her feel relaxed. Since he heard those stuffs is good at relaxing one's body, also she seemed little annoyed, so he wants to make her feel happy. After hearing it silently she gets angry and slaps his face. Afterwards he quickly apologizes to her, but her hand she used is still hurting her, so he asks if he can bring her something that could ease her pain, but she still got a flustered face. In the end she kicks him out. And he finally realized that he got tricked by the first daughter. Afterwards he comes to other girl's room, and she tells to him that Himari is a difficult girl, so he needs to be careful around her. She then goes on by saying that she wants to go to the toilet, so he takes out his hands. He then gets shocked, since she is not moving from that place at all, and says she doesn't want to leave the room at all, which confused him, so he rushes out to take a pot that will hold, but she goes on by saying that she can't hold it any longer. So he asks her to do it in his hands, but she still says no since it might leak. As a result he started to wonder what he have to do. In the end, he gets down. Meanwhile at the outside, someone is saying that everything is going according to the schedule. On the other side it was Sao. Afterwards MC thoughts to himself that his first day as a upper-class slave isn't bad, but the first day ended with salty taste.
Morning begins inside a luxurious mansion. A young man, now serving as an upper-class slave, greets his owner politely. Her name is Ousaka Himari, and she calmly sits on the couch reading. He apologizes for something that happened the night before. Himari blushes slightly and tells him to forget about it. She dismisses him for now, sending him to assist her sister instead. We're introduced to Ousaka Suzuna, Himari's older sister. She lounges comfortably while ordering the slave around, casually reminding him that the school semester will start soon and that he needs to prepare things for her. A quick montage shows how his days are spent, running errands, fetching items, and being treated more like a servant than a person. Day after day, this becomes his routine. Time passes. By day 10, Suzuna demands help with her daily schedule, overwhelming him with tasks. By day 12, she suddenly decides she wants to go shopping, adding even more to his workload. The scene shifts to a massive, futuristic city. Tall buildings, neon signs, and endless crowds moving through the streets. This is the world where everything is controlled by power, money, and ownership. The three of them arrive at a massive shopping district filled with people. Himari decides she wants a new dress. Suzuna immediately takes control, telling her not to worry and to leave the choice to her. The slave is told to wait outside while the sisters go inside to shop. He sighs, already exhausted. While waiting outside, he's approached by a boy from another wealthy household. The boy recognizes the Ousaka name and comments on how powerful their family must be. Before the conversation can go anywhere, Himari calls him back inside. He instantly straightens up and responds. Inside the store, Suzuna holds up two dresses and asks which one he likes better. The problem? He knows absolutely nothing about fashion. He nervously tries to give an answer, but Suzuna isn't satisfied. She pushes him to choose properly, while Himari quietly watches, slightly amused. The pressure only makes him more flustered. Shopping finally ends. The slave is left carrying multiple expensive bags while the sisters enjoy a quick meal nearby. Himari thanks him for being thoughtful. Meanwhile, he sits alone on a bench, eating quietly, surrounded by luxury he doesn't get to enjoy. The gap between them has never felt wider. Sitting alone with his food, the slave looks around the busy shopping district. Upper-class slaves like him are everywhere, but something inside him has changed. Even though he's still owned, this life feels completely different from the hell he came from before. He doesn't have to suffer anymore. And for now, that's enough. He looks up at the sky above the city. Is this the freedom he was promised? The ones who gave him this life were Suzuna and Himari. Even if it isn't true freedom, it's better than what he had. He turns back toward the store, quietly watching the two sisters from afar. Inside the shop, Suzuna and Himari laugh together. The slave smiles faintly, happy just seeing them enjoy themselves. Then a large corporation's name appears on the screens around the city. The Shirota Group. They are powerful and deeply involved in shaping the future of this world. A massive advertisement plays. It talks about designing the next generation, dreams, careers, and possibilities for the future. The Shirota Group claims they can help create the perfect children. The words echo through the city, and in the background, the slave realizes something unsettling. Then Suzuna and Himari return. Suzuna hands him a small shopping bag. It's from a luxury store called Tranquility. He takes it nervously, unsure why they're giving him something. Himari smiles and tells him to open it. Inside is a bottle of expensive perfume. He looks confused. No one has ever given him something like this before. Suzuna explains that she and Himari picked a scent just for him. At first, it sounds like a gift, but then she bluntly says it's because he smells bad. The words hit him hard. He immediately apologizes, bowing his head in panic. Suzuna laughs and tells him to relax. It was only a joke. Still, the moment lingers. Even kindness in this world comes with a reminder of who he is. Himari cheerfully explains that using perfume on a slave is becoming popular among upper-class girls. She says it helps them feel a sense of belonging and stand out. Suzuna snaps at her to stop talking so casually about it. The slave quietly accepts it, saying that since he can't see, scent helps him recognize people. Himari smiles softly and says she likes having it by her side. Suzuna, flustered but serious, tells him to use the perfume. He agrees. He sprays it on himself and nervously waits. Himari steps closer and smells it, smiling. Then she pulls Suzuna in two, insisting she try it. Suzuna hesitates but finally agrees. They both smell the fragrance on him. Himari happily says the cedar base was a great choice. Suzuna admits she loves the scent. As the three of them stand together, something changes in the air. But in the background, someone else has been watching. A hooded figure steps closer. The quiet moment is no longer safe. The girls finish their shopping and head back to their car. Suzuna says they'll be back next month anyway, so they can buy more later. Himari casually holds the slave's hand as they walk. Everything feels peaceful. Too peaceful. Out of nowhere, a hooded figure rushes past. In a blur of movement, Suzuna is shoved aside. Before anyone can react, the stranger snatches her purse and runs. Suzuna screams. The slave instantly reacts. He tears after the thief, shouting for him to stop. Security is alerted, but the criminal is already deep inside restricted territory. Warning signs flash as he enters a dangerous, off-limit zone, but he doesn't slow down. The chase explodes into chaos. The thief leaps across railings and sprints through dark corridors. The slave pushes himself to the limit, dodging obstacles, chasing the sound of footsteps. His instincts guide him, and he's getting closer. The slave finally catches up, but instead of one thief, he finds himself surrounded. A whole group is waiting for him in the dark alley. At the center stands a dangerous-looking woman with a scarred smile. She greets him like she was expecting him. She toys with him, trying to shake his focus. He doesn't back down. When he asks who they are, she casually introduces her people. This isn't a random gang. This is an organized underworld group. The woman proudly declares herself Sakurako. Her partner explains that she controls the criminal world of this district. They apologize for dragging him here by force, but say it was necessary. They wanted him to listen. They tell him something shocking. True freedom doesn't exist in the upper-class world. The Ousaka family doesn't even know this place exists. Here, in the underworld, slaves can live without chains. Sakurako steps closer and tells him that rich women only see slaves as accessories. Her group is different. They say they're the only ones who know his true worth. And now, they want him to choose. Sakurako smirks and tries to break his resolve. She asks how long he thinks the two sisters will keep caring about him. The slave doesn't hesitate. He coldly demands the purse back. Himari's purse. Nothing else matters. And mocks him for trusting women. She claims years of being a slave have made him naive. Her people grow irritated, accusing him of disrespecting her. The tension explodes. One of the men steps forward and throws a punch. Blood drips from the slave's nose. But he doesn't fall. He tightens his fists. The fight erupts. The slave charges straight into the group, swinging with everything he has. Multiple enemies rush him at once, but he refuses to back down. Outnumbered, but not broken. The slave is overwhelmed. The gang swarms him from all sides, punching and grabbing, trying to drag him down. Even Sakurako looks surprised by how fiercely he fights back, bloody but still standing. Suddenly, a sharp voice cuts through the chaos. A young police officer storms in, ordering everyone to freeze. Weapons are drawn. The underworld's playground just became a crime scene. Sakurako doesn't panic. She smiles and calmly gives her people an order. The officer is surrounded, isolated, and completely alone. As a result, her underlings quickly ask her on what they want to do with this police officer. All of a sudden, she says that they should strip her clothes and leave her here. After doing it, she goes on by saying that they would normally make her get broken by giving some drugs to her boys. After saying she gets closer to her by saying she has a cute face. So, for that they will let her live, but in exchange they want important files from police. After hearing it, she just spits on the gang leader, which shocks the guys from the back by saying that police officer is doomed. Sakurako has had enough. With a cold, bored expression, she raises her gun. One single shot ends the officer's defiance in an instant. The street goes silent. Even the criminals stop breathing. Sakurako turns back to the slave like nothing happened. With blood on her face and a smile in her eyes, she calmly says she has someone she wants him to meet, as if the murder never even mattered. Everything suddenly changes. The slave wakes up in a clean, quiet room. A morning alarm rings. A new day begins, as if the nightmare never happened. The slave finds something chilling in his hand. A syringe and strange vials. Memories flood back. Sakurako had ordered the purse returned, and he realizes the truth. The police officer is dead, and Sakurako calmly tells him that the Underworld will take care of it. They decide what becomes truth. They decide what becomes a crime. Sakurako hugs him like a lover, but behind his back, she secretly slips the syringe into his jacket. She tells him they can keep meeting, that this isn't over. Alone again, the slave stands in his room, shaking. He stares at the syringe in his hand. If he uses it, there may be no going back. Morning arrives. The slave nervously greets Suzuna and Himari as they prepare for their first day of the new school term. Both girls are wearing their academy uniforms. He carries their bags, standing behind them like a servant. This is his new reality. They arrive at Sakuraba Academy, an elite school where only the powerful study. Suzuna quietly warns him to behave. Very few students have a personal slave, so everyone will be watching. As they enter the campus, students immediately notice. Whispers spread. Himari and Suzuna walk proudly, while he follows behind, feeling every stare on his back. When asked his name, he almost says his slave ID by instinct. Suzuna quickly cuts him off and gives everyone his real name instead. The crowd smiles, welcoming him. But deep inside, he realizes he is trapped between two worlds. From now on, he will be called Ryu. For the first time, he is more than just a number. Elsewhere, a different girl enters the story. Ruru Jujo, a wealthy and spoiled student, looks exhausted and irritated. She already hates being at school. Ruru argues with her caretaker, insisting she had no choice but to come. But as she walks through the academy halls, something strange catches her attention. Students are gathering. Whispers are spreading. Back with Ryu, he's suddenly surrounded by excited classmates. They laugh, tug at his sleeves, and treat him like a toy. Even though he looks calm on the outside, he knows this attention is dangerous. Ruru suddenly notices Ryu. The moment she realizes he belongs to Suzuna, her face turns pale. This is the last person she wanted to see. Himari explains that slaves aren't just servants. They're symbols of a family's power and status. And now, two elite families each have their own. That means only one thing. A rivalry is about to begin. Suzuna calmly steps forward. She tells Ryu that today, he will face Ruru's slave, Hidito. If Ryu loses, Suzuna and Himari lose face. After school, students gather in a circle. The academy announces the start of slave duel. Two men step forward, Ryu versus Hidito, and the entire school holds its breath. Hidito mocks him, but Ryu stays calm, confident that he will not lose. Above them, the school's leaders quietly observe, treating the duel like entertainment. The students erupt with excitement. Suzuna and Himari watch closely, their reputations hanging in the balance. This isn't just a fight, it's a battle of status. The duel explodes. Hidito attacks first, throwing heavy punches. Ryu blocks, counters, and refuses to fall. The crowd roars as fists crash and bodies clash. Hidito launches a brutal final strike, but Ryu's eyes sharpen. He pushes forward, driven by a single command in his mind. He is not allowed to lose. Everything comes down to one final strike. Ryu throws everything he is into a single, unstoppable blow. The air itself seems to tear as his fist moves forward. The impact sends Hidito flying across the arena. He crashes to the ground, completely defeated. The crowd explodes. Suzuna and Himari stare in shock as Ryu stands tall. The duel is over. Suzuna and Himari are praised by the elite students. Ryu quietly steps away, asking to be excused. For him, the victory feels heavy. Alone in the bathroom, Ryu stares at his reflection. He whispers his own name, trying to remember who he really is. Behind the strength, behind the chains, he is still Ryu. A memory flashes through Ryu's mind. Two boys in a cold, white facility. Numbers instead of names. TK, S02947. That was him. A stolen childhood. A life designed to be a weapon. Back in the present, far away from the arena, deep inside Manji Kojyo, a prisoner lies alone in a locked room. Security mocks him. They believe he won't survive the night. But they don't know. Desperation creates monsters. The broken boy curls on the cold floor. Pain in his body. Fear in his eyes. But it was the guy that used to be a friend with Ryu when he was in before becoming an upper-class slave.